everybody, and welcome back to another DID video. Welcome to another DID video, is what I meant to say. Sorry, I'm a little out of it right now after a bit of a kerfuffle I had last night in terms of the new YouTube regulations. Now, today we're going to talk about another area in my Cerebreath system, being Whiplash Desert. I actually mentioned this in the last one, a little bit of an offhanded thing when I was talking about how to get to Lovelane City. And I figured, what better time to talk about it than now? So, Whiplash Desert is a very unique part of my system, of my inner world, of my system, being that it is one of the most expansive areas, but also one of the most kind of misunderstood and very dangerous sort of areas. I'm not entirely certain why it's this way, but it is. So, just bear with me on that one. I'm still learning about it myself, but I'll tell you what I know. Okay, so, as always, I'm going to give you directions to kind of show you where things are. So, as usual, start with Starlight Plaza right here. You follow the path through Amethyst Forest, and you'll end up at Whiplash. Whiplash Desert is generally considered an unsafe zone for many reasons. One, because the temperature ranges well above what somebody should be able to physically handle. It is, I think last time I checked, it was like, it can raise up to 428 degrees when it's like, when there's no wind. The thing is, when there is wind, it kicks up such violent sandstorms that it gets its name, Whiplash, because essentially they have what is called breakneck winds, at least that's what I call it. Excuse me. So, that in and of itself is really dangerous. You can't really go out on foot because of how huge it is and how easy it is to get lost. There's no real path through the desert. You know, obviously it's sand. That would cause a lot of problems. However, there's also 3 other things that make this a very dangerous area in the Cerebreath system. Essentially, let me think, which one should I start with? Let's start with the sand sharks. There are giant sand sharks. These things are vicious, and they'll eat whatever they can get. That in of itself is pretty self-explanatory. They're about as big as a megalodon, which was the biggest shark on Earth, and they live in sand. Pretty simple. Second is, actually there's 4 now I think about it. Second is the giant vultures during the day, which I believe are called death talons, or something like that. It's like really specific. And I don't remember the name of them, but they were like, there's giant bats at night. So essentially, you're not safe no matter what day you travel, because obviously it is colder at night, and you could easily go across foot then. But considering how big the desert is, it would take you like 2 days, and you'd get stuck anyway. And then there's the other issues that we're going to bring up. So if you're not dealing with giant buzzards, or giant bats, or giant sharks, you have to deal with the bandits. Now the bandits are very strange. We don't really know a lot about them. Essentially, it's believed that they take stuff from you, but we could be 100% wrong. And that's the thing, is that they are such an obscure part of the system, and they kind of keep themselves a lot, that it's very ironic that in my own system I don't know about something, but I guess I'm still learning myself. Now, there is a very ironic part, actually, even more ironic than the bandit issue, being there is actually a hotel in the far end. I believe it's the far, let me think, what direction would it be? I believe it's like the far southern end of the desert on a cliffside. And I can't for the life of me remember. I had it all written down before and I lost all my notes that I had before. But essentially there is a hotel. It doesn't get a lot of business, obviously, because how the hell are you going to get there? Well, I mean, without having a lot of trouble. So how do you get across this desert to get to Lovelane or wherever? Most people choose to go the opposite direction through Lichen Woods and everything, because generally it's a safer route. So like you're going like this way to Lovelane, there's also another one that reaches into, you know, you go around Lichen Woods like that. And past a bunch of other places that are generally considered safer. However, there is a way across the desert that's a little bit more safe and a bit more practical. There are essentially sand boogies. Sand buggies are dome-shaped vehicles that have air conditioning, they have water supplies, and they are durable enough to take hits from anything in that desert. That being said, they do experience some issues now and then, so it's not the most practical way, but it does work if you're in a hurry. You basically pay a fee, as far as I'm aware. Maybe you just say, hey, I need to get across, and the guy's like, okay, here's a cart for you, just go across, and someone will bring it back to me later or something. I don't know how it works. It's really weird. But what makes these things really cool is that they actually have, like, tank treads on them, so they can go across the sand. They don't have wheels. They can withstand the bandit spears, outrun the sharks, bats, and vultures. Well, I like to call them buzzards. It's more what I'm used to. The thing with Whiplash is it's such a hostile environment that it makes me wonder how it came to be. And I still have no answer for it. It might be because I had this fascination with deserts when I was younger, but I'm not really certain. Or it could be that it could be something to do with my own paranoia about, being hunted by something or someone. I really don't know. Or it could be a memory from when I went to the sand dunes. I really have no idea. But I feel like that's what makes this such a unique area, is that it is dangerous. But there are ways around it or through it. And most of my others generally will not deal with it. They generally will go in opposite direction or they'll fly over. Like in the case of Lulu, she'll fly places because she has wings. And, from the air, it's not nearly as bad. Obviously you gotta deal with, the buzzards and bats, obviously, but it takes away some of the danger. And when you're flying through the air, you don't feel like the heat as much. Obviously, you're soaring above everything. Doesn't mean you can fly through a sandstorm. Let's be real. But honestly, this was one of my favorite topics to bring up to people with my system because it feels unique. It feels so, unlike anything I've ever really heard from a system video, which is why I'm bringing it up to you, because honestly, it's one of the really big points about my Innerworld, about what it means to, have this kind of large country, because there's so many varying landscapes that I want to bring up, and it's going to take me time to get to all of them, because I do these one at a time to kind of keep it as like a series that's going on my channel. Now, here's, I'm trying to think, is there anything else I could talk about? And that's honestly kind of it. Obviously, this is a smaller area of the area of of my Innerworld. I'm stammering over my words, and I'm sorry. But it's one worth mentioning because it shows that each system, each Innerworld for each person is unique. Some people have ones that have designated safe zones, and some are completely safe and sanctuaries for their altars or others. Whereas some people have kind of a mix. Some people have no safe zones and they feel very attacked all the time. And it really differs from person to person, and I find that so fascinating. And I look at mine, and I'll be real with you, this actually made me question it for a while. Oh, why would you have an Innerworld that's dangerous in certain places? But looking at other people's, that's not uncommon. There's a lot of people who actually have danger zones where, everybody stays away from. So, there you go. It's honestly one of my favorite areas, even though it is really scary. And I would never want to wish that on anybody to go through there. Now, obviously, you have to get to Love Lane and various places like that. You probably would have to go through there unless you want to go through the woods. So, you kind of have your options. There's also the choice to go by boat from Mermaid Beach, which is another area I'll talk about soon. And you just kind of go around, but there's not a lot of boats that go through there. You kind of have to have your own. It's a huge thing. But honestly, that's all I got. That's all I got for Whiplash. It's a scary place. Oh, I guess I should talk about the real quick, I want to mention this, because I mentioned how the winds go. These things go at terminal velocity. Let's be real. Like, they're vicious sandstorms. For them to be that strong, like, you have to have that strong vehicle to really get through it, or you have to go around. Just gonna be honest with you there, because I know there's gonna be people saying, like, well, how fast are the winds? Fast enough to break your neck. Let's put it that way. But anyway, enough of my rambling. Sorry, I kind of forgot to mention that little tidbit. But thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you stopping by. I always do. If you like what I do here, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good kind of stuff really helps me out a lot. The algorithm is a mess. And remember, you're beautiful, you're valid, and you're important. That is very, very, very important to me and everyone up here. And I will see you in the next video I make. So until then, goodbye.